Good evening, Randomizer fans. Welcome. We have ourselves one hype race today. Teto versus Ninban, their first race in the round of 64. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined tonight by Walter Four. How are we doing tonight, Walter?
Yo, I'm super hyped. This is bound to be a good one. It's gonna be interesting to see how they approach this.
Yeah, this is one of those races. Ninban came in was very highly rated out of the qualifier stage. Teto was a bit lower on the stage, but he did something pretty interesting in the group stages. Pulled off a major upset. Came in as kind of an underdog and swept Supernin Taylor, who was ranked 7th coming out of qualifiers, and Teto was I think ranked 107th. So he had a major upset in the group stages to even get here.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a couple of big upsets in the groups, and I think it's fair to call that one of them.
But you know what? That's why we run the races and don't just let the numbers talk, because any given day you can win. And if any of you guys out there who have not tried Randomizer, I mean, that's just saying, go on, give us a try. Join the next tournament. You never know. You could be the next one doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, now that we're in the top 64, it's very tight in terms of like the skill level. Everyone is pretty close to each other, but there's still like gaps. You can still have a couple of ones that are a little bit higher in terms of skill level, but in a best of 3 matchup, anything is possible. I think anyone in the top 64 could beat anyone in the best of 3.
Absolutely. And Teto finds us. We have an early hammer. Ninban finds a big 300 in the sanctuary chest. Teto looks like in this open mode, he's just going right in and saying, hey, let's go ahead and do escape right now. I got a weapon. Might as well.
Yeah, doing the uncle start and getting a weapon early, it's no better way to just go into to escape right away, right? Looks like the bush crabs had bombs, and luckily we had some bombs here on Uncle as well, so not gonna have to worry about that in Kakariko.
All right, so Ninban is going to start out with kind of our standard Kakariko checks, while Tato's over here going to be doing the escape sequence by the looks of it. Just a big 20 in the forest.
Yeah, it's this never-ending discussion of is Uncle in an open setting worth doing right away or not, and it looks like we have a sort of like the entire tournament has been. It's about a 50-50. Half of the runners feel like Uncle is the way to go, and half of them choose to skip that for a little while.
All right, so both of our runners are doing their normal thing. We'll see. It's interesting getting that early hammer like Teto has. I think, depending on what Ninban ends up finding in Kakariko Village, we might have a very early Dark World check. There's certainly enough checks here to make it possible, but we'll see what Ninban finds for us.
Yeah, for sure. There's a sword. That's very nice to get. With the hammer, it's not as important to have a sword, but it definitely helps. You don't have to menu all the time to get a new weapon or anything like that. It's a very reliable weapon.
Well, I mean, he got sword, he got sank heart, and he also got powder, which is super interesting because that'll mean when Teto ends up going into Kakariko Village, he'll have at least one additional check that he can make, being able to check the magic bat while he's in the area. Ninban's going to have to, route that in at some point. So just a little bit extra efficiency for Teto. If something important is there, it could kind of domino effect into some real progression there for Teto.
Yeah, worst case scenario would probably be something that has to do with the Darkhold access, because Ninban is going to have that isolated until he gets Darkhold access pretty much. And that Kakariko had a couple of stuff.
What kind of Kakariko is and a lift upgrade from the merchant? This is absolutely a stack of Rico. Everything's in Kakariko right now. All right, so Teto is also going to be giving us a check at the Lumberjack ledge. Ninban passed this up. Looks like it's just a big.
Yeah, it's I guess another one of those never-ending discussions. In one way, it can be nice to know right away if like get some confirmation is this going to be a required Agassiz or not. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense as well to just wait until you have the boots, because you're probably going to check the Bone Crux right next to it anyways. And I mean, even if there is something required up on the Lumberjack, it's not really going to be relevant too much until you have the boots.
Absolutely. You know, I fully admit I'm one of those guys who have lost races because I delayed putting off checking Lumberjack ledge, but those are so rare at this point in time. You can usually hold off. Oh, and look at that. Why not just one more item in Kakariko? Why not just give us the flute and the maze game?
Yeah, Ninban looked like he was ready to save and quit there. He already got so much in Kakariko, but yeah, looks like we're getting more. This is going to be pretty good for Ninban as well. If there's something important on the magic bat, all of a sudden it's not going to be too hard for him to come back and check that whenever he wants to.
Yeah, that absolutely kind of defrays that opportunity cost quite a bit for Ninban. It's a good sign for him. But man, I'm telling you, I'm a little bit nervous. We have the hammer, we have one glove upgrade. There's still a lot of stuff that we can do.
I mean, that's a potential. We have a long way to go for that, though. At this point, the only thing that could require an Aga required seed here would be Moon Pearl on Pyramid, pretty much, or something blocking the Moon Pearl on Pyramid. So we're probably gonna have to wait and see for that one.
All right, so Ninban gets his swag duck rolling, and then Tato's making his way through this stacked well that we had. Oh, I want to know, where are all these seeds when I'm trying to play a race? I mean, come on.
Yeah, getting a lot of good stuff early is definitely nice, but you're just gonna have to wait and see how long that holds on. Sometimes an early nice Kakariko is just the a warning sign for something bad about to happen later on instead.
That is true, and you know there is the theory of rando, as it were, that whenever you end up doing, you get lots of things early on, and it opens up the seed. You know, it ends up isolating you a little bit. You're sitting back thinking, oh man, now I only need one item, and it's the ice rod, and oh, it's everywhere. Where can I possibly? There's nothing eliminated at that point.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Ninban is gonna go check this shovel right away that he found at the dam. Only a couple of bombs. They're probably gonna pick that up. Yeah, they only had 4, so kind of worked out in one way. But see if Teto decides to hold that off for a while. Maybe he can like farm it, like route it in together with doing the Dark Worlds checks later and save a little bit of time there.
So here's a moment of truth. Teto doing the magic bat. Here's something interesting. Because Ninban used the flute, he didn't actually check Link's house. So he doesn't have the hammer yet. Now, just 10 arrows. But man, Ninban, I hope, because who goes back into Link's house? Like when you're at the point that Ninban is currently at, why go back to Link's house? There's our Titan's Mitts.
There's a Mitts. Okay, so we're gonna have Mitts and Hammer into the Dark World. But yeah, that's a little bit awkward. He does a save and quit here though, so he's probably gonna pick up that Hammer now.
No, he went to Sanctuary.
He's gonna go straight for the back of Escape probably now.
Yep, all right. So back of Escape. This is going to be our first peek over here.
And there's our do you remember if Teto got his small key in the front of Escape?
Yes, he did. He did get it fairly early on.
That means we do have something in the Dark Sewers chest, and Ninban had no way of grabbing that quite yet because he didn't have the small key, but maybe Teto is going to go for that when he goes for the back of Escape. Looks like Ninban is going to head over to that area right now. So maybe we'll get to find out what's in that Dark Sewers.
There was a question in chat. Is Aga dead? Not quite, but man, it is on life support. Really, in order for Aga to be required at this point, Hammer would have to be locked, or no, we already got Hammer. So yeah, it's... Ooh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dead.
It's not quite dead.
Moon Pearl, right?
Yeah, Moon Pearl is that's going to be the final nail in the coffin. But yeah, it definitely looks very unlikely at the moment. It's a little bit awkward when you get the bow super early and then you check your map and it's pendant Eastern. And you're like, oh man, I wanted an early crystal, but now all of a sudden do I go do a pendant dungeon or do I just like skip that for a while?
Well, with what we have right now, I mean, the only other places that are unlocked for us with the progression, I mean, we can't do Dark World yet, so our choices are limited to Agina's Cave. We haven't seen Ice Rod Cave yet, so that's a possibility. Or we start diving over into the eastern area, which is probably the most dense item location area that either two need to check yet. So I can imagine either Teto or Ninban heading over to the eastern area. But if they find their Moon Pearl, or for example, if they find the hook shot in Aga's closet, if they find any sort of progression anywhere else, I think they're out. They dip.
Yeah, in terms of the most likely play for progression, I definitely agree that Eastern seems to be the best play. It's gonna be interesting when or if they head over there. If any one of them are gonna make the play of maybe heading into Eastern before Sahasrama, it's possible with it being a green pennant and just turning the green pennant together with checking Sahasrama, but you could just go for Sahasrama first and hope to get like Dark World access and maybe skip Eastern as well. It'll be interesting to see what decision it makes.
It's absolutely something that you're playing the odds at this point, right? Now, unless there's a lamp somewhere, then it's not clearable from a logic perspective because we'd have to get past those dark rooms, and we don't have any sort of fire source yet.
Okay, so Ninban is gonna go for the Dark Sewers chest here. Having the sword is definitely going to help these dark rooms out a bit. Not only can he kind of guide himself where he is in the room, but also kind of fend himself or defend himself against all these ropes coming up in this room here.
Yeah, never underestimate those three little sparkles. Just make such a huge difference in navigating any sort of dark room. I never thought it'd make that big of a difference, but man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
You're
Teto
first.
doing the low percent play.
Yeah, it's actually Agina has been a very popular choice in the tournament so far, and having the flute just makes it kind of free almost to grab. Not anything important today though. Looks like Ninban having a little bit of trouble locating the chest here. There we go. It's just a heart piece, so not gonna be the end of the world if Teto decides to skip it, but he's gonna go for it as well. I think that makes sense. He already did the frontal escape, so if he left it now, he would probably just commit to leaving it for the rest of the game almost.
All right, and Ninban's going to be our first runner, actually, that's heading over to the eastern area. This is the big question. I mean, technically, we have access to Death Mountain. We have one spot on Death Mountain if we really want to check it. Old Man still isn't technically in Logic, although we could get him. But this is the highest percentage play that we can make at this point in time. So we'll see what we can see from Ninban. See if this is where our progression is.
Well, one of the chests was bombs. Didn't really manage to get the rest of those two. Looked like there wasn't a move.
Oh, hook shot! There was a hook shot there.
All right. Well, I guess we know where Ninban is heading next then. He's gonna dive back into Kakariko here, just checking that magic bad before committing too much. I kind of like this. In case this would be like Moon Pearl or something like that, it's very nice to have before heading up the mountain, especially when you have the hook shot combined with mitts, so you can like check the Dark Death Mountain as well.
Absolutely, that would be absolutely key. Hookshot was one of those 3 chests in Sahasrah's closet, so that's a significant pickup. That does unlock all of Light World Death Mountain. That's quite a few checks. That's 5, 6, 7, 8 total. Plus, we'll have access to Tower of Hera at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Teto is actually doing what you suggested earlier, Walter. He's going right into Eastern, foregoing Saha first. You know, if you're banking that green pendant might have something, I can see that. But you know, I'm gonna bank that our progression is over here where Ninban's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is I like to call this like planning for the worst routing. You just like planning on last locationing stuff, so you just route stuff as efficient as possible in order to be efficient in that last locationing. But it gets a book, so that's a pretty good start potentially. Could be required for our desert access if the desert is locking the mirror.
So yeah, and plus that book gives us an extra check up on the mountain. So, oh man, Teto might be making the big brain play.
Okay, so Ninban heading into Paradox Cave, which pretty much been the hype cave for the last couple of versions. I feel at
And
least.
there's a lamp.
There's a lamp.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone who's hoping for Aga all of a sudden getting a little bit more spicy.
I don't know who would actually root for Aga. You guys are mean people if you're actually rooting for pain upon these wonderful runners we have. Combat Flats brings up a good point in chat. They are both very rich, and frankly speaking, for it being less than 20 minutes into the run, they're also pretty healthy at 8 hearts. We've not gotten a lot of filler. We've gotten hearts, we've gotten rupees, but like not a lot of the 3 bombs or the arrows or anything else. We've gotten lots of quality at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I'm bugging it up on the Lonely Island, so probably not gonna see anyone pick that up.
But
Ninban is doing something interesting here. He's going for Spiral Cave before heading to Hera. Something you normally see is people head over to Hera first and then go back here because it's faster. But what Ninban might be planning for here is that maybe if the book were over here, for example, he wouldn't have to double dip back. Or if he gets Darkgold access over in Hera, then he could sequence break Spike Cave. So if he went over to Hera first, he would have to make a choice to do Spike Cave or Spiral Cave. By doing this play, he guarantees himself being able to check both in case the Moon Pearl is over there.
Evan, actually, Eastern is in logic. Oh, wait, Eastern not in logic without a mountain type. Okay, yeah. I was misreading that. You're right. Sorry.
Very nice quick kill here from Teto getting his green pendant. He got the book, but nothing else. But the book alone might just be worth it. We can also turn in the green pendant, so that could be something as well.
Yeah, if that green pendant ends up being something, that could be significant. It'll tell Teto that he's going to find the lamp fairly quickly, and we know exactly where it's going to be as well. What kind of knowledge you got for us, Saha?
Just a heart piece. You hate to see that. So Ninban is gonna go for a Hera pot skip here. He has the big key, but doing the Hera pot is actually faster than climbing the tower. So as long as he can manage to get this on the first or second try at least, would be worth it.
Now, I've been absent for a while. I'm not familiar with this trick whatsoever.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways you can do this. The most popular one is the bomb setup that Ninban is doing. He fortunately failed the first one here. You have to it's pretty much like Ice Palace, for example, like a bomb jump where you have to place the bomb and then move your positioning afterwards. Actually, that's not quite as more like hammer jump. But yeah, so got the bomb on the right pixel here. Now he just needs to stand on the right pixel when it explodes, and it will kind of put him into the first pixel of the pot, and he can just hook shot over and drop into it, and then he can take this portal and get all the way to the top.
That's cheeky.
Yeah, he's gonna be dropping down though because he still wants to get the chests that are here. Ooh, he failed that bomb jump though, so that's a bit unfortunate.
All the way back down. That's a big waste of time right there.
If you're a fan of Hera, you get to see it again.
I'm curious if that's why he chooses the lunchbox sprite, because of how the pixels line up and make that trick easier.
Maybe. It is interesting when you do the hair pod, and you get to that top level. You could just like drop down to the big chest as you would do in vanilla. So we'll see if he does that this time around, or if he tries to do the bomb jump again, because I think that would probably be faster. Definitely safer. Yeah, he's just going to go for the vanilla strat here this time around.
Yeah, I mean, you waste a lot of time once trying to swag it. Might as well just keep it simple. All for... Man, that stinks. You know, we're starting to run out of item locations up here. Now, Teto will be able to give us one more check up on the Death Mountain because he has that book and we'll be able to check the tablet. But Ninban, oh man, we are there. There's got to be something in the basement, theoretically, right?
Maybe he did get the big key, so it's potential. Oh, there's the boots. Okay.
Okay.
So that's both our items. That's pretty nice. Not gonna lie.
Well, that's two checks. That's Bonk Rocks, and because we have the Titan's Mitts, we can also do King's.
Mm-hmm. And we can also go fast. Nobody's gonna leave 7 quid, so he probably is gonna check those boot locations right away. But yeah, if there's something up on this Ether tablet that you mentioned, that is gonna be very bad news for Ninban, because especially if it's like Darkworld access, he's probably gonna last location that at this point, because it's really awkward to get back up there without the mirror at least.
Yeah, that would be really interesting if that ends up being the case. Oh man, King's Tomb is just a big... You know, we haven't talked about it, but Zora is technically in play as well. A lot of people avoid Zora, and they might sequence break to get up there if they have the Moon Pearl, just because you can get a few other checks. Oh my god!
There's the Moon Pearl. Okay.
Teto
so
with
Eastern
the big
required. Yeah, this is can definitely call an early advantage here for Teto now. He's gonna have Darkworld access now, and probably gonna take a bit before Ninban comes around to that.
Okay, so here's the major question. Because Ninban has access to go ahead and kill Aga. Does he do Aga before he goes up and checks the tablet?
I would probably guess no. That's it takes a lot to do Aga without the Moon Pearl. But it might be that he does everything else except for Aga before he goes back up for that tablet. Unless he finds the mirror. He's setting up for a water walk here, so he's going to be able to get the waterfall together with Sora now. Even though he doesn't have the Moon Pearl yet, so at least that's nice. But I'm guessing as soon as Ninban finds the book, he's probably is going to beeline for Desert instead, because it's a crystal and fully completable at this point. Get another
Temper sword and an ether.
That's pretty good. We don't know if we need any medallions yet, but most likely we're going to need at least one. So starting to get them early is good. You don't want to have a medallion hunt late in the game.
I did not see what was on Lumberjack Ledge. Was it anything terribly important?
I think it was just bombs. Something like that. Nothing important, at least. Same can be said for Sora, I guess. Ninban is gonna run all the way back out, so I wonder if he is gonna head to the hobo potentially.
Yeah, I imagine he's on his way to Hobo. Oh, Moldorm doing his duty there, knocking Teto down.
Yeah, if only we have had a couple of boots, that would be kind of nice on this boss fight, right? Teto was walking down in the middle of all that. That would have been very unfortunate. And actually, I
Yeah,
guess
there
boots
we
wouldn't
go.
be. I take back the boots thing because he's using the hammer. The boots doesn't help very much at that point.
All right, Ninban, where are you going, buddy? Oh, he's checking desert and Agina's cave. Oh,
Yeah, Teto managed to get all of those kind of out of the way early on. So Ninban is kind of catching up a little bit in terms of that right now. And Teto is just going to head straight back to the East Death Mountain here. With the Darkwood access that he got, he's now going to be able to check the entire East Dark Death Mountain in his first trip up the mountain. So already there, he's saving one mountain climb against Ninban.
yeah, for those just joining us in chat, Teto made an early dive into Eastern Palace. Ninban just went into Sahasrah's closet, got the hookshot,
and
and went up the mountain.
he forgets that he doesn't have the moon pearl yet. He's gonna have to try that again.
Yeah, so
That's an easy mistake to do.
That early dive into Eastern led to the book. So when Teto eventually ended up going up the mountain, he found the moon pearl on the ether tablet. That is what Ninban is hunting for right now. Teto, meanwhile, is free and clear. He can do Dark Death Mountain while he's up here right now.
And I like his choice of taking this portal instead of the one at the bottom of the mountain, even though he already was at the bottom, just in case he can open it up and in case he would find like Kenos Moria. It's just like good to plan for the worst. There's a pendant. Both are medallion dungeons with pendants. Okay, this is very interesting. All of a sudden, there might be a lot of items we don't need in the sea. Potentially, as long as we don't need to go into those dungeons.
Evan, you could dive Eastern early because the book was in the early parts of the dungeon before any dark rooms. So logically, you wouldn't have to go up the mountain first and then dive back.
We've got a look in Super Bunny Cave. Our last sword is located, so both our runners are going to have tempered at the very least. Probably both of them going to end up with butter sword at the end. Half magic in the Hookshot Cave, not bad. Probably not what Teto is hoping for, though.
Right now, my biggest concern, if I'm either of these runners, I'm just looking over the seed. I'm thinking, we got really early access relative to all things to Misery Mire, and it's a pendant. I'm nervous.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Teto head over there soonish to shake the Mire Shell at least. It's a two really quick chest that doesn't really hurt if you have to go back there later. It doesn't cost you that much time. But yeah, with our pendant dungeons, we're actually only really 3 items that we're looking for in terms of go mode. We need flippers and mirror for our swamp play, and we're gonna need fire rod for Skull Woods. So 32 minutes and we're only 3 items away already.
And that's the scary part because, right now we can clear out Desert, we can clear out Palace of Darkness, clear out Thieves Town. Ice Palace is technically out of logic because we don't have the flippers. And we don't have a fire source to even get past the front door either, at least right now.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see our runners just start with the crystal dungeons and the areas surrounding them, and hope to get the progression while clearing out some crystals. But we'll see what Tito's approach is going to be here in the Dark World. He's been very like full clearing everything. So we'll see if he does the same now, or if he changes his approach as he ends up in Dark World.
Yeah, he's been very thorough up to this point in time.
That's the word I was looking for, yeah.
So Ninban now has the green pendant. Probably going to go turn that in and be thoroughly disappointed, right? Where does he go next? What's his next choice? He has the book. Do you think he does desert next and just says, at least it's a crystal?
Yeah,
I
think 100% he goes to desert, I think. It's like crystal, you get 2 items. Sounds a lot better than climbing the mountain and then walking around the entire mountain for 1 check.
Yeah, he looks like he's absolutely diving into desert. I imagine he's going to bypass that full heart container. We know it's not Sank Heart, and frankly, we're plenty healthy already for these rounds.
Mm-hmm. So we might still get something good here, though. It's not going to be the Moon Pearl, but we could still find progression. As Teto is heading into Pod, has 5 items in there, so it's a good one to start with. Also, not always super fast to do in Go mode, so it's not always like a big deal to save it for Go mode, because that big key can be almost anywhere.
So here's the other thing I'm thinking. What I don't want to see right now, if I'm either of these runners, is the Cane of Samaria. Ninban doesn't quite know it yet, but Cane of Samaria would spell absolute disaster, given Misery Mire and Turtle Rock are both pendant dungeons.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It would be nice to get it later on, like maybe as you hit Go mode, you manage to find it on your way to Ganna's Tower or something like that, because it's still potentially needed for Ganna's Tower. So it would be nice, but if they end up in Go mode without the cane, I think both of them are probably gonna just go for the alt sub. The big key is not on the right side, and if it is on the right side, they're probably just gonna hope that the cane is in Ganna's Tower if that becomes the issue.
Man, we're setting up for a real rough Ganon's Tower climb. How long has it been, Walter? I mean, tell me honestly, how long has it been since you've climbed the gauntlet without the Cane of Samaria? Like, is there any muscle memory built up for that?
Me personally, I actually play a lot of entrance, so I end up doing that more often than I want to. But yeah, you usually just have to like go for a bow or something like that instead, but it's hard to get like the quick cycles as you just can do without ease or whatsoever when you have the cane.
All right, so Ninban now doing personally my favorite boss in this entire game, playing mode. I didn't see he got anything really of note.
Yeah, that's kind of same from my position as well. I didn't really, not even sure if he grabbed all of the items yet. I think he used, yeah, he's going back in. He got the big key, so he went for the boss first, hoping to get an item there. So far, pot has been kind of empty as well. Starting to find those filler items all of a sudden.
Well,
no mirrors, so we're gonna take a death warp here. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, this is kind of what we expected, though. We talked about this in the early parts of the race. We were so front loaded early on, and now we're only looking for a handful of items. Yes, these are all crystal dungeons, so they're still, both of them are still making significant progress. But man, it's slow going because you have to clear everything, and you're only looking for a couple of items.
Yeah, for sure, and it's kind of scary when you have a lot open but only looking for a few items, because like, say the last crystal dungeon you go to has the progression, for example. All of a sudden you might be like, oh, what if my opponent went to this crystal dungeon early? Or what if it's on like the smith chain and my opponent like went to Thief Town and did the smith chain right after? It's just like, it's really hard to tell where your opponent is in a race setting when the world state is so open. Kind of fitting because we're playing open.
Well, yeah, and you know, Ninban, it looks like at about 40 minutes, Ninban's going to get his Moon Pearl, which is good. You know, and he's still made solid progress. He's got 2 crystals, so he's not like, he isn't in Dark World yet. But Teto spent most of his time in Palace of Darkness clearing that out. So, you know, Ninban has continued to make progress. He's not that much further behind than Teto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely. He didn't lose enough time that it would cost him the race already, but it's definitely time that he's gonna have to make up a bit. And seeing how he last location it, there is a potential he might play a little bit more risk in the Dark World. I don't remember exactly when Teto got his Moon Pearl, but I think Ninban got it at least 10 minutes later than Teto, so that's it's very frustrating when your last location in your Dark World access like that.
No, you're absolutely right, and that starts getting into how you play. You know, I can speak from experience, but when I last location something like the Moon Pearl and it's 40 minutes in, I start playing a little bit frustrated. Now, I'm fairly certain Ninban is a much better player than I am, but that does play a role in any esport athlete, anything like that. When you know that you're behind, you start to feel the pressure. Your stomach tightens up a little bit, and you start having to play maybe a little bit looser. Maybe you start making a little bit mistakes. Sometimes you go into beast mode, and all of a sudden you're playing awesome.
So Palace of Darkness was not our answer. We'll see where Teto heads from here. Village of Outcasts is a pretty good potential we might see here. We didn't really see Hype Cave yet as well, so he could start from Hype Cave and then work towards the Village of Outcasts, or do the other way around. Looks like he's gonna go for the dungeon first over the overworld location.
I actually like that play. You know, start off with a dungeon that you know you can clear, like Thieves Town, and if you happen to find the stuff, great. It's kind of, you know, you talked about routing for the worst possible scenario earlier. This is routing for the best possible scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, if you find everything in Thieves Town, you are golden, and you can just skip as much as you can.
Yeah,
it's probably not going to happen.
And I mean, if you were to go from Hype Cave and then towards the Village of Outcasts, you would already be isolating locations like K45 in case you find a mirror later on. And we know we're gonna have to find a mirror sooner or later.
All right, Ninban is actually showing us Hype Cave first. So what are we going to have? How hype is our Hype Cave going to be? So far, it's just a big 20.
We only need 3 items for go mode. It could happen. Okay, not anymore. Wow, that's a pretty trash cave when you already have a bottle.
That was I call it a Jerry Maguire cave because it was nothing but, show me the money! No? Am I too old, guys? Is that
maybe?
Okay.
I don't get that reference personally, but I'm sure it was funny.
Okay.
So it looks like Ninban, unfortunately, is going to head for the pod play as well. I think pod makes the most sense as soon as you get Dark World access. It's just going to be a bit unfortunate for him that it doesn't really have anything of value, and so that's not where he's going to save time on Teto. They're pretty much going to equalize themselves in terms of both full clearing it for nothing.
So what opportunities does Ninban have to play catch up? Now, just as a reminder for everyone, I know we've been doing these tournaments for a while, but Ninban and Teto can't see each other. They don't know where each other are. They'll only know when they're done. And there's one of our items, flippers.
Yeah, that's a big one. Doesn't do too. Yeah, I guess it opens up Ice Palace in Logic actually. So.
Yeah, I don't quite know if I... Well, Ice Palace is... we can get to Ice Palace, but we still don't have Bombos or Fire Rod. So, can't really get past the first room yet.
Oh, yeah, right. That's something you need in that dungeon, don't you? I have definitely never made that mistake before, walking into Ice Palace without a fire source.
No, that doesn't sound like a mistake that anyone who's ever played Rando has ever made, Walter. So, we're in the clear. So, we have 10 arrows. We are now in the Village of Outcasts for Teto. We'll see. He's 2 items away from go mode right now. Whew, this is where we need a mirror and we need a fire rod. Oh my god, is that really our first shield?
Yeah.
It is.
Not gonna help them very much, but I guess they actually got the cape in pod. Did Teto check the bumper ledge? Did I totally miss that?
Yeah, it was a 5er.
Oh, okay.
So Arenatu in chat brings up a good point, and I think this is worth discussion. Right now, if you're in Teto's spot, we can't get into Swamp Palace or Ice Palace. Fire Rod opens up Ice Palace to check for Mirror. However, Mirror opens up Swamp Palace so we can check for a fire source. If you were you, which one would you prefer to find next if you were Teto? Fire Rod or Mirror? Knowing that probably unlocks either Swamp Palace or Ice Palace.
I think Fire Rod, for sure, because Fire Rod, it also, like, Fire Rod doesn't open up as much, pretty much. The mirror opens up a lot of different locations other than Swamp, and they're all very spread out from each other. With the fire rod, you don't have as much options, so you can just go straight for both Skullwoods and Ice Palace, and hopefully get your mirror as the go mode instead. Then you never have to worry about any of those mirror locations.
That's a possibility. Pet is technically still alive, only if it's the mirror, though. We will need the fire rod for Turtle Rock, and we know where everything else is. And then there's the requisite, if it's the mushroom, whatever. But it can only lead us to the mirror at this point.
Yep.
See, my only concern, back to the conversation we were having earlier, is that Fire Rod does also at least unlock the possibility that we're getting close to Turtle Rock, Pendant Turtle Rock, because of those Fire Rod locked rooms early on. So that would make me a little bit nervous about Fire Rod. I tend to agree with you, but I'm wary about it.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit of a scary potential. But as long as they don't have the Cane of Samaria, they're not going to have to worry about that. So starting our blind fight here, Teto is setting up for the blind script. Doing a pretty good job at it so far. Pretty much class example on how to do the blind script.
Yeah, that was textbook there from Teto.
20 rupees as a reward as well, and that's pretty much class example what you can expect from a crystal blind. If it was pendant, it would probably have been the boots instead.
All right, yeah, Thieves Town ended up being almost nothing. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Thieves Town is pretty quick, and you're probably going to full clear it anyway.
Yeah, it's Thieves Town is one of those dungeons that are almost never fast, or like it doesn't really matter if you do it in Go mode or not, because in Go mode you pretty much do the same thing as you do in full clear mode, except like open a chest or two in the same room that you happen to be in. So it doesn't really make too much sense to save it for Go mode in most seeds, and most seeds you have access to just beating it as soon as you get Darkhold access. So it's like it usually ends up being one of those early dungeons anyways.
In all honesty, Thieves Town is one of those dungeons, even if it's a pendant dungeon, generally I'm going to clear it. Like, it's just something I'm going to...
And now we're getting a little bit of divergence here from Ninban. He is going to head over probably to Pyramid and maybe up to Catfish as well after Pod here, which Teto did skip. We've seen a lot of races so far in this tournament be decided by skipping Catfish. So it's definitely a high-profile check at this moment in this tournament. Hey, there's our last shield. We went from none to all of them in like record time.
Did we happen to catch what was on Pyramid? Anyone?
No, maybe he did that before Pod, because it looks like he didn't go to it.
Okay, so he skipped the item. That's fine. Stumpy just has some bombs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, catfish for the win. Let's see. Is it gonna
What do you
happen
got?
again? Not today. So that makes definitely puts Teto in a favorable position again here, because he has cleared the most in Dark World so far, so he's a bit more likely to find his progression earlier than Ninban.
Well, at this point, you know, I think Tito's gonna complete his world tour. He's gonna go up, check Pyramid and Catfish, almost just like Ninban just did. And then he'll turn in Jeremiah. At this point, you know, as soon as he does that, he can't do Ice Palace. He can't do Swamp Palace. I imagine he'll do Desert next, or maybe the Mire Shed.
Desert makes a lot of sense. He can full clear it. It's a crystal, so that should be pretty attractive option for him. And after he's done with it, wouldn't be too surprised to you see him go into the Mire area as well, which seems to be our most likely place to have progression at the moment. Got 2 checks in the Mire Shed, and it's quite likely we have access to the dungeon itself as well, except for the boss. But if it's Ether, he would have to do the flipper stuff before he could get into the dungeon.
True. I was just forgetting where Ether was, and that was in the waterfall, wasn't it? Let's see. The fairy crystals 5 and 6 were Ice Palace and Palace of Darkness. So we've already gotten half of our equation there. But Ice Palace, man, it won't have the fire rod. So unless we find our bombos somewhere, Fat Fairy cannot have the fire rod.
So we're gonna turn in the Smith. Don't see it very likely that he will just go for Purple Chest as well right after, but that's one of those few locations at the moment that we have not seen. I guess it's only Purple Chest and the Mire area in total we have left.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Well, that opens up a couple of locations, you could say.
Yeah, he's doing Mire Shed right now, because you can get Checkerboard now as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Just makes Desert even more attractive.
All right, so that was our answer. We also have Swamp Palace opened up to us.
That was a very quick shake. Might have been Quake, but I'm not sure.
It was Quake? Okay, we got it then. I don't know if he goes in. I think there's too many other attractive places for us to go right now.
Yeah. At this point, I think, as he just found the mirror, he probably has a lot of other stuff on his plate.
Hey, Walter, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do a fetch quest?
Not really, but I'd do it if I have to.
Okay. No, I'm not going to sing it, Evan. This is not about me. This is about Teto finding the mushroom. Because that's important.
If only we had voice audio as well, we could probably hear him sing it right now.
No.
So the good news for Ninban is that he's quite likely to pick up the Smith after being done here in Village of Alchemists. Bad news is that Seed is it's kind of linear at the moment, so that makes it harder to catch up. But the mirror definitely makes the it gives you a couple of options that he could do in a different order than Teto. I would probably imagine that Teto just heads for Swamp Palace after this, to be honest. Full clearable dungeon, 6 items. Sure, it has the left side swamp, which is annoying, but you're only one item from go mode. You don't have to do left side right away. You can just hope to find it in the back first.
Yeah, that would be. I imagine that's what Teto will end up doing immediately after this particular dungeon. Knock this out. Well, and he might even do the 2 quick mirror checks, checking the Bombos tablet and then checking Cave 45 before he actually goes into Swamp Palace, on the off chance that you find it, so you can go mode everything else.
Yeah. I accidentally read the sign there from Ninban. I didn't really catch what it said. I think it said you don't need the hookshot for this or something like that.
Yeah, that's the instructions to tell you. Just because in vanilla the layout of the dungeon made you think you needed the hookshot, but you don't.
You need cape and not hookshot. I guess that's kind of funny. Enter. It's factually correct.
All right, now if I'm looking at things, the last thing I want is Bombos, because that would open up. That opens up Ice Palace for us to have to full clear Ice Palace, and that's our gatekeeper for Turtle Rock. Now again, we don't have the Cane of Samaria yet, but that's just another big warning, because there's some trolley possibilities if we find Bombos. Then have to full clear Ice Palace only to find the Cane of Samaria, only to go into Turtle Rock. There's some potential for meanness here.
There's our flippers for Ninban, which is that's good news. At least if Fire Rod ends up being in Swamp Palace, because then he would definitely need to double dip that dungeon. And Skullwoods is one of those dungeons where it's not really quite a double dip. It's like the dungeon is kind of like divided in the sense that double dipping it doesn't really hurt you, at least too much.
All right, so Tito's actually going to do these other Zora checks that we saw Ninban do earlier through sequence breaks, checking Hobo, and then we're going to do the waterfall checks, and I think he still needs to do Zora yet based on his rupee count.
So Ninban picked up that heart in the pig cave, which might not look like too much of a big deal, but for me personally, it would kind of be an indicator that maybe he doesn't feel too behind. Because like, if you feel super behind, that's something you probably feel you don't have the luxury to do anything that's not strictly required.
Well, and I mean, that's not an unreasonable position for Ninban to think, because Moon Pearl requiring, I mean, if you just think about the logic of this seed, Moon Pearl requiring you to do Pendant Eastern Dungeon to get the book for Ether, for the Ether tablet. So you probably are thinking, of course, Teto, also last location this. We know better.
Yeah, I would probably say in like, it's not unreasonable to think that the majority of runners would probably check Satchela's Closet first and get the hookshot before getting the boat, and then make the decision of climbing the mountain instead of going into Eastern, which was the pendant. So yeah, that's probably a reasonable decision or analysis to make.
So now, yeah, Ninban's going to go down here. He's going to check Stumpy. He's already done Hype Cave, so this is going to be a quick save and quick from him before too. But then he'll also have the mirror, so he's kind of right on Tito's tail because Teto did Desert. They've now done the exact same dungeons at this point. Ninban just hasn't checked Mire Shed, so it is. We've talked about Ninban last locationing that. But the reality is he still continued to make progress, so he's right on Tito's tail.
Yeah, for sure. Like Teto still has an advantage, but it's far from a spot where he's super safe.
And this is interesting because we mentioned earlier he's not checking Bombo's tablet and he's not checking K45. Which are two relatively easy checks that are fairly close to Swamp Palace. He's going right in.
Yeah, especially Bombos is like literally just one screen away. I guess, yeah. Bombos, I think, is pretty usual to see people do before, but okay, Ninban he's gonna head straight for Swamp as well. He's not gonna go over to my area or anything like that. So if it's in here, all of a sudden we're pretty much equal.
My goodness, this is now a race. This is so hype, and we've talked so much in Randomizer, and it's something I've said over and over and over. In these one-on-one races, when you're not in the large group races like the qualifiers, when it's a one-on-one race, it's just as important what you do, but it's also important what your opponent does and knowing their kind of routing habits and whatnot. At this point in time, within 5 minutes, within the start of this race, Teto and Ninban went in opposite directions. Completely opposite. Ninban kind of went on a hunt for the Moon Pearl, didn't get the Moon Pearl until 40 minutes. But these two have converged. They are right there. There's some differences in terms of what they have left to do. Ninban hasn't done the Mire Shed area. Neither of them have entered Mire. But other than that, they are right there, neck and neck.
Yeah, and he's only a couple of rooms behind. And if we know anything about Rando or Link to the Past overall, it's that could change quite quickly. So Teto is skipping left side for now, which I think makes 100% sense. No need to do it quite yet.
Well, yeah, and this is what we talked about earlier. If you're only one item away, you route for the best case scenario right now. Hey, if you get it, great, you can skip all those chests. If not, it's not a huge time loss to come back in. It's a little bit of a time loss, but the efficiency gained if you happen to skip it is just immense.
Ooh, okay. Ninban is gonna go for left side first. So, very interesting. I wouldn't necessarily say going left side first is objectively wrong, but I would say going to the back makes a little bit more sense for me personally, at least. But I might not have everything calculated the same way as Ninban has.
Well, and it goes back to the philosophy of how you're routing. Are you routing for best case scenario or are you routing for worst case scenario? Because if you have to come back in, it would be a time loss to go into the back and then dive back in.
Mm-hmm.
But for best case scenario,
Yeah, it also kind of depends on where the big key is too, to be honest. If the big key is over here on the left side, then going left first is definitely one more efficient way of running the dungeon if you're gonna have to full clear it.
Yeah, the big key was in the back. We saw Teto end up picking it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Teto can now do the big chest on his way to the left side, while Ninban is gonna have to either go back into the dungeon again or have to walk away or back from the backside in order to get the big chest before the boss. Didn't quite catch what was on that left side. It's a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation from Ninban at the moment. Got
Silvers.
a second bow. Yeah.
Okay,
nice.
that might be nice because I mean, Ninban might skip it. Gosh, I don't know what Ninban's gonna do, but he doesn't. He can't open it right.
It's not the end of the world to not have silvers, especially when you have butter. But
if he knew they were there, it would be worth the time to go back and get them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know because he doesn't know what's there. You know, he may go in it thinking he needs to check.
Yeah, he's gonna go straight back up. With the boots, you can also set it up here so you don't get that that bug of just automatically going down again.
Yeah, that's the world's worst bug.
Yeah, so if you just do a key dash there and you just hold left, you don't have to go down and then up again. So we're gonna find out what was in here. I'm guessing Fire Rod was not on the left side, because if Fire Rod was on the left side, surely Ninban would have skipped the big chest, I think.
Yeah, he would have stopped. So this is
that opens up the question again. Where do we go next? Probably Bombo's tablet to begin with, since it's right next to the dungeon.
Bombos K45. Oh, he's going right to K45.
Interesting.
What? You know, and this might be just confirmation bias for me, but if I find one key item on a tablet, I'm checking the other tablet almost immediately as soon as I can.
Okay, so that was not it. And I mean, if Ninban goes straight for the Bombo's tablet, might just be enough to even this up.
And Ninban showing us almost a textbook poke strats for the R guy. That was very well done there, Ninban. Have we checked Ped? No. Ped's dead. Ped's dead, Zed.
Okay, Bombo's tablet. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not what you like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hate to see that.
Yeah, Fire Rod is go mode. And for those asking, how did K45 get its name? Way back in the day, Nintendo gave us maps of everything, and they were labeling everything, and it was just the 45th location on the map. And that it became known as K45. That's literally it. It's the only reason.
Has a pretty good ring to it. So Ninban, when Teto went to K45, he had not done Bombos yet, so he just went all the way back to Bombo's tablet instead. But Ninban has already checked Bombo's tablet, so he might just continue over and do the purple chest instead. Yes, the purple chest sprite after all. It would be sort of like the same distance, a little bit longer, than walking back to Bumbo's tablet, but I don't think that's unreasonable whatsoever. He's walking back into the portal as well, so it looks like that's what he's doing. So we have divergence, and whoever is on the right path here might just have a pretty good advantage of just taking the race overall.
I mean, we're down to just who finds the fire rod first, and they're diverging into different paths. I mean, the purple chest is a reasonable guess. Teto diving a pendant dungeon is also not unreasonable, even though there's only 2 items in Misery Mire total. Whew. And chat's making another point. No one's checked the mushroom yet. No one's done their fetch quest properly. I swear. Okay, first of all, Ninban walking with the clone of himself.
It looks hilarious.
Oh my god!
And it's the fire rod. Okay. Well, there we go. Ninban all of a sudden is in a major advantage position here because Teto is gonna full clear this entire dungeon, minus the boss, or maybe even the boss if he finds the cane. So that's time consuming. And while he is doing that, Ninban is gonna be go-boating stuff.
Yeah, first I want to apologize for everyone's ears that I just blew out, screaming, "Oh my god!" But that's so huge, and yeah, Ninban is come roaring back. I mean, we were all really concerned about him. Oh my goodness, purple chest for the win.
Yeah, it's extremely awkward to route both the smith and the purple chest when you don't have the mirror. So when the mirror is on that entire smith sequence, it just makes it like this really awkward, and that's why we pretty much see it wasn't last location, but it was I was getting there. It was pretty close. Now I think the biggest question mark left in this seed is the Cane of Samaria going to be required or not? There's 5 item locations in Ganon's Tower that is blocked by the Cane of Samaria, but that's 5 out of 22. So I'll say that we're not going to need it, but it's far from a guarantee.
Yeah, we have some possibilities that would be, shall we say, torturous to watch. I mean, we could theoretically find Bombos in Ganon's Tower that doesn't require it, and then have to... No, we can't dip Ganon's Tower. Never. But we could do something like that, where the Cane of Samaria is somewhere outside Ganon's Tower. It'd be horrible.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario would be like Graveyard Ledge or something like that, because I think, unless Teto does it before Purple Chest, which is not unreasonable, I guess. But if it's not in Ganon's Tower and the cane is required, that's it's not good. Let's just say that much. There's our Bumbos. Not that we need it anymore, or ever needed it whatsoever. I guess no, that's really bad for Teto. He's gonna go into Ice Palace at full clear now.
Oh.
Yeah,
No.
100% he's going to Ice Palace. So Teto, Tito's gonna have to hope for a cane in Ice Palace, I think, because he's gonna lose a lot more time now all of a sudden.
Yeah, Samaria being in Ice Palace, because we didn't see every item. We did see Ninban open 1 chest, and it magically had blue mail, which, thank you.
But we also saw that there was no small key on Cold Stare, which doesn't guarantee that the dungeon wasn't locked by the Cane of Samaria, but it's very likely that the dungeon was not requiring the Cane of Samaria. So it could theoretically be in Ganon's Tower then. If we saw small key on coast there, that would be a big giveaway because that would mean Kane could not be there.
Question in chat from 7-8 time. Does anyone ever make mistakes in these races? If so, why? Yes, all the time, and for all sorts of reasons. I mean, you could just brain fart and completely forget locations. That's entirely possible. Now, we're at the stage in the tournament where we're in the round of 64 that every one of our racers is of a pretty high caliber. Mistakes can still absolutely be made, and no one's a perfect runner. We're not. I mean, they're not running TaskBot or anything, but most of everyone is competing pretty well. But mistakes happen. That's why we run the races and not just let people's reputations run for them.
Yeah, for sure. I would say there is no random race ever being played where no one didn't do a single mistake. So many variables, so many tiny things you can optimize in every single room. So
Man, and you can tell Ninban's he's laying it on now. I mean, it felt like we were just in Ice Palace defeating Cold Stare, and now Mothula's down. And that's our 7th crystal for him.
yeah, so I don't know if we have a bot that does the big key game anymore because it was broken early game, but I'm not sure if Sashlabot took over that or something. But either way, get your guesses in for where you think the big key is going to be in Gennis Tower. 22 locations, so a number between 1 and 22 would be preferable. There is a bot, okay.
Yeah, and looks like the bot is doing it pretty well. Now, here's the real trick. If you're guessing those high numbers, remember, we don't have the Key of Samaria yet. Doesn't look like Teto picked it up yet. Now, there's still locations that are out there. No one's still turned it the mushroom yet. We still have Graveyard Ledge that hasn't been checked. I think there's at least one location left in Skull Woods that hasn't been checked. So there's a possibility that we may be having to double dip Ganon's Tower if it's requiring a Cane of Samaria and it's not in Ganon's Tower itself.
Mm-hmm. I think the only two options we have for that would be Mushroom or Graveyard Ledge. I think we've seen the rest of it by now, since it can't be in Turtrock and we saw Meyer.
Did we get everything out of Skullwoods? Because I think we skipped at least one chest.
Yeah, there might be one item left in Skullwoods.
Now, Zelgadesian in chat is absolutely right. There's nothing that could force a double dip. But if the Cane of Samaria is not in Ganon's Tower and the big key is locked behind there on the right side, it's possible.
Oh, Teto is gonna check that big bomb at the pyramid. That's a location we have not seen yet. It now has both of the 5-6 crystals. It could, yeah. Ninban is interesting. He's not even gonna check the first two on the right side. Normally, you would only skip that if you're going for a Dark Magician play, but Dark Magician is out of the picture here for Ninban since he does not have the King of Samaria.
I mean, this could be a point where, maybe even forget that you don't have the cane because you just are always requiring the cane before you get here. But normally,
Yeah, it's very easy to just forget that. Oh yeah, right. I
Oh, well,
can't go.
there it
Oh,
is.
well, see, we don't have to worry about anything. But that most likely solidifies that Ninban looks in a very good position to win race 1. But I do say race 1 because this is a best of 3 matchup. So even if Ninban ends up winning this one, that does not mean that he's gonna advance quite yet. We have to win 2 races in order to advance to the next round.
Absolutely. This is just race 1 of these two. Ninban is, I mean, I'm not going to say we were ready to write Ninban off because he was still making moves, but things looked real grim for Ninban early on with that Moon Pearl lock behind. But man, he kept running his race. This is why you keep running your races, even if you think last location item you're concerned that you're so far behind. Keep running that race because you never know what the other guy's going to do.
Yeah, he's been very efficient in his Dark World routing. He's been very good in terms of execution as well. And the stuff that he was forced to do in the Light World pretty much before he last location the Moon Pearl was stuff that he needed to do sooner or later anyways. And he had the boots, he had the flute, so he didn't really lose any time in like overworld travel or anything like that. It was pretty much just like go back, clear Eastern, clear Desert.
Yeah, Teto is back in Ice Palace. He did go ahead and defeat Cold Stare, but looks like he abandoned some items, hoping that maybe he banked on it being in that in the Pyramid Fairy location. Now that was a very low percent play, which tells me that Teto believes he's behind. He's making a play like that, which is ironic because that play is putting him further behind. Unfortunately, he was right there in the mix prior.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when you do a gamble like that, it's quite common that you like just commit to the gamble and be like, well, okay, I already left Ice Palace, maybe I'll just let that be and do the rest I have left. But what he has left is not much as well. You can easily make the same assessment there as well, that like I had that available for so long, so maybe my opponent just did that a long time ago.
And there's our big key. It was in Rando Room. My goodness, I lost track of the numbers on that.
I'm pretty sure someone in chat will tell us. Because I have no clue. Okay, looks like 14 was the correct one.
Fully Metal Ret was the winner. GG's Fully Metal Ret. And meanwhile, Tito's... maybe Tito's making the play. We know where it's at. It's Purple Chest.
Yeah, he's either doing Purple Chest or Graveyard Ledge here. Pretty much his only 2 options. Meanwhile, Ninban is doing a really good job of the gauntlet here. He entered pretty low health, but he has kept that health going through. And he does have the powder, so he can get some extra health later on here. Both before Lammo was if he wants to, but especially before Ganon. Ooh, unfortunately, didn't quite get the one cycle. But at the gold sword, you only need 2 slashes to take care of him. So you managed to clean it up with a 2 cycle.
Teto with the mirror bonk, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he shows Graveyard Ledge over the purple chest as well, which is very unfortunate. At this point, probably doesn't matter too much.
You know, when you mentioned it earlier, just we have to credit Ninban for sticking to his game as he's climbing the gauntlet here at 1 hour and 30 minutes. Keep in mind, he hit go mode at 1 hour 20 minutes, so that's 80 minutes. He didn't get his Moon Pearl until 40 minutes. So half his race was just finding Moon Pearl, and the other half was clearing the rest of the game. That is just so impressive from any runner. So big shout out to Ninban, just running a heck of a race through this.
Yeah, and speaking about shoutouts, by the way, shoutouts to our track today. I bought Zero 2. Doing a great job of just keeping track of everything that's happening in the race, making the viewer experience better for everyone.
Absolutely, iBot. Thank you so much for doing the track. While we're in the middle of shoutouts, one shout out to my buddy Walter. Thank you, sir. But also Speed Gaming. This race is also being streamed over on the Speed Gaming French channel. So if you would like to hear, there's going to be an interview in French. If that is your preferred language, you are welcome to mosey on over there. I don't speak French, so I won't be over there, but if you are so inclined, please feel free to join us.
So Agatu is down. Means we won't have Ganon left. We are pretty much as fully equipped as we could hope to be for this fight. We got defense up with our mail upgrade. We got plenty of hearts. We got half magic. We got silvers. We got butter sword. Yeah, you can't ask for a better Ganon fight than this. And probably gonna see a textbook example here.
Yeah, this is one of those Ganon fights that you don't even practice this anymore, because you've done this Ganon fight so often it seems easy. You know, you practice your silverless strats or your master sword spins. No, you don't practice when you have this much gear.
He's tanking a couple of hits here early on, but with this health total, he can totally afford that. He just needs to be careful not to like take a Ganon hug, but I think he would even survive that. I don't remember exactly how much he does in blue mail.
I think he'd be fine. It'd be close. We'd start getting annoying heartbeats, but
yeah, Ganon is a very unlovable pig. He doesn't get a lot of hugs, luckily. Gets the torch glitch even with the fire rod, and that's 2 arrows down. You just need 2 more hits. And this ought to do it. All Ninban needs to do is cross the finish line, and he will have won this race. So get your GGs out for Ninban taking race number 1 in this matchup. I think they have a second race scheduled already in a couple of days from now. But yeah, GGs to Ninban. I don't have the SRL room up. Do we have any official times?
I do, yeah. Our official SRL time is 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 35 seconds. So GG's to Ninban. And Teto does go ahead and call it. He says, no reason to continue. And joining us now is Ninban. GG's, man.
Hello. Hey,
Yo,
thank you.
GG's. Do you like getting Moon Pearl in 40 minutes?
Oh man, that's it. I think that was the latest I've got Moon Pearl, like outside of Plandos.
Yeah, it was a very late one for sure.
But still made it up. Almost a Hondo seed anyway, so felt good.
So let's just get Teto in here as well, and we can have a bit of a conversation. Okay,
And
so
yep, Tito's here now.
Yeah, greetings, GG Ninban.
Thank you. GG's to you too.
yeah, GG's to both of you. So what's your both of your like initial thoughts about this seed?
Oh, right, I'm going first. Yeah, the Moon Pearl, the book, I just thought about clearing Eastern Palace right away and turning in the Green Pendant. Moon Pearl after the book, yeah, that was a nice find. But after thinning out everything else and just sort of searching for the fireword, I knew this is even now, at least. And yeah, this Bombos just got me the wrong ideas.
Yeah, the interesting thing that happened is that Teto, you opted to full clear Eastern Palace before going into Sahasrara's closet. Ninban went to the closet first, found the hook shot, booked it right up the mountain, and went through all of that. So it looked like for a while, Teto, you had kind of a nice little advantage there because you got the Moon Pearl, you were able to go right into the Dark World, you got going. Ninban kept making progressive checks, like he cleared Desert relatively early, like nothing was ever necessarily an empty check. So by the time he found the Moon Pearl, he found it at 40 minutes, and then it only took him another 40 minutes to go mode. You guys were kind of neck and neck, only a couple rooms apart when you both entered Swamp Palace, and then when you split to both try to find the fire rod, Ninban went to the purple chest relatively early. He did Bombos, K45, and then right up to check the purple chest, and then you did those other two checks and then left, and that was kind of the deciding moment at that point in time, because as soon as that purple chest was checked, I mean, it was all go mode from that point on.
Yeah, I thought about it. I knew this would be the loss if I don't find anything after the Bombos medallion. And so I cleared Ice Palace half, thought about, oh, you got an item already, maybe going right to the boss and doing Pirate Ferry afterwards. So you might get an item in Ice Palace as well as two in Pirate Ferry, but nothing there, and there wasn't anything after the flippers or the mirror. So I stayed with Ice Palace, and yeah, I knew if he didn't make the same mistakes, this would be over.
Yeah, finding that Bombos medallion was probably the worst luck that you could get, because then you full cleared Ice Palace, whereas Ninban was able to go mode it, and then you left and then came back once you found the Cane of, or once you got the Pyramid Fairy. It was just a little bit of rotten luck there at the end, but it was neck and neck, all up right until that point.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Ninban. He's a very strong player, and I have to try something out. I'm a bit behind of the predictions. I think it was in challenge 69-4. So I even thought about while just try some weird plays, and yeah, the book was fine and Maya wasn't. So down to this. It was a great seed at great race.
Yeah, it was a great seed. It's always fun. It's always fun to find boots at almost the 20-30 minutes mark.
Yeah.
That makes for fun seeds. So
and you had to find them. That's always great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, for sure. This is game 1 out of minimum 2, but potential 3. I think both you have your second match scheduled already, right?
Yeah, both upcoming matches are scheduled. So if we do game 3, it will be right after game 2, and both will we will start the doubleheader Saturday at
1:20.
1:30 p.m. Yeah, so
Yeah.
1:50 p.m. On the Huston
I
side.
think we start 1 p.m. and this
Oh,
stream
okay.
will be 1:20.
Yeah, so 1:20 for everyone else.
Okay.
1:20 p.m.
So Teto, as losing this first race means that you get to pick something a little bit different if you want to in the second race. Have you thought anything about that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think any changes aren't at my advantage at all, so I think we might play another normal open seat.
All right, yeah, it's definitely makes a lot of sense when we played so much open in this tournament as well. So it's like the more you get most comfortable with almost.
So if you don't have any more questions for me, I just leave and go ahead because there are folks asking me on Speed Gaming Français which want to do an interview as well.
Yeah, for sure. GG's on your race and good luck in the future.
All right, thank you both for commentating, and thank you to Teto for doing that race. It was great, and I look forward to watching it back.
Absolutely. See you on Saturday, Ninban. Have a great day.
Yeah, see you all Saturday.
Yeah, so Teto, do you have anything else you want to add about the race or this tournament in general, or pretty much?
Well, I'm not sure if I get restreamed on Saturday, and it might be the last game, so I also want to thank everyone, of course, you two for commentating, and I was tracking this whole mess, or not. And of course, thanks, for this great tournament so far, and at least top 64. It's a nice achievement.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a stacked group play, and getting out of that has been pretty brutal for most of everyone in this tournament, I think. And you had an impressive first win against Superman Taylor, and your group play. We were looking at a bit of that before the race. Definitely impressive for sure.
Yeah, with some luck here and there, but yeah, it was a great ride up until now, and maybe a bit more.
Hey, never say never. Weirder things have happened. I mean, you ran a great race. It was right up until the end. I'm looking forward to watching some more races from you there, Teto.
Yeah, I hope so. At Saturday, we will get the next. So that's everything for me. I think about the seat.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Teto and Ninban. If you liked what you saw from our runners, please go ahead and give them a follow here on Twitch. Also, one more big shout out to Iboto2, doing all the tracking for us behind the scenes, making us look good. And my wonderful co-commentator, Walter Four. Man, thanks for helping re-break me in. I went on a little bit of a break there, and coming back to a familiar face and a familiar voice.
Thank you as well, man. I don't think I'm not sure if I've ever commentated with you, but it was definitely a lot of fun to do so. And I'm looking forward to doing more comms in the rest of the tourney. Maybe we'll get to come a match again.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I think this was the only tournament match for us tonight. I think the Speed Gaming daily might be restreamed. I'm not sure, actually, to be honest. Otherwise,
we're trying to figure out if the daily is going to be restreamed or not, but there's nothing else on the Speed Gaming Network. The next race will be tomorrow at 2:20 Eastern.
It's Sabatender is going to beat up some nerd or something like that.
Some scrub. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, he's racing Walter here. So everyone, big shout out. Walter's not only calming, he's also racing. He's one of the good ones.
I wouldn't say that myself, but thanks.
All right, but yeah, I think that might do it for us.
Yes, have a good night, everyone, and we'll catch you guys later.